Okay, we're going for Discus for hybrid learning for high school level ELA, social studies, and world language teachers today. And I'm going to show you just a quick screen here to be able to see what we're going to focus on. Learn 360 is a database that we actually purchased this when ETV was no longer able to provide it to the state. And this has expanded extremely over the past few years. We're going to look at videos, printables, and maps that you're going to be able to incorporate into your instruction. In addition, we're going to be looking at TeenBookCloud that has both fiction and nonfiction for your grade levels. CultureGrams is an excellent social studies piece that's going to help you introduce all areas of the world, the United States, to your students with some more advanced types of functionality that will help your high schoolers be able to compare economies of countries and locations and distances and just a variety of resources there. Credo Reference has over 900 ebooks, uh, primarily reference books, but additional books as well. And then Smart Search is going to allow you and your students to be able to search multiple databases. I'm also going to try to pull in a little bit of the Bloom's literature for those of you in ELA. Um, and we're going to kind of go with this here and see what we can cover uh, in such a short time period here. I will also be posting for you toward the end, I will be posting your link to be able to request your PD credit for this session. So that will happen toward the end of this session. I'd also appreciate it if you all could give me your feedback on the session at some point before you leave today, just so that we can get feedback from you. This is required for us because we're partially federally funded, but I personally appreciate your feedback because it helps me to continue to improve on getting you the resources training that you need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. If you all want to take a quick snap of this next screen, this is why I gave you that Discus username and password before we began the recording, so that you would know anytime you or your students see the screen that you see on the right, that's when you're going to need that Discus username and password. Many times when you're at the school face to face, those wired computers that are actually on the campus, you will have seamless access and most likely not need the username and password. But students that are using any kind of Google Chromebook, mobile devices, smartphones, etc., will need this username and password. And usually once you have entered it for one database and you haven't cleared your cookies, you won't have to really bother with it a second time either. This is our contact information for any of you who would like to uh, maybe take a quick photo of this. If you're ever having any difficulties with the databases, Ms. Desiree Thomas is our customer support specialist, and you can reach her at Discus office at State Library. If you have any questions about training, follow up to today, you can also email myself there at the top, Linda Heimberger, and I'll be glad to follow up with you as well. So I'm going to move on to the live screen, and if you would like to come with me, let me stop the share on this, and I'm just going to pop over into the live Discus site. It is at www.scdiscus.org, as you see here. This should be linked from your library, your media center or library at your high school. But the SC Discus page is where you would actually get started with your resources. And I'm going to quickly show you a couple of things. The training tab here could be valuable to you all for PD along the way as well. We have a training calendar that we update regularly. We are going to be hosting next week using and sharing tutor.com. And we're going to get our feet wet with that today as well. But this will be a more detailed one. The Explore African Heritage and CultureGrams and biography database and the ACT SAT prep that's available are coming up that you might want to take part of. Also, the online archives that you see here linked from our site can give you a lot of additional videos to assist you. For instance, we have the high school English Discus overview here. We also have other ones that might be interesting to you along the way, such as locating maps in Discus there. And then we have another recording of using Discus and ELA and social studies. So you all are welcome to use these asynchronous videos at any time to help you there. I also want to mention the training resources right here. You all are welcome to use any of these handouts. We're currently working on expanding these, but the high school quick guide that you'll find from the Discus site will help you for those of you who are just getting started with Discus and you just want a quick little cheat sheet to be able to determine which databases for the high school level are relevant for your topics that you're teaching, which ones have videos, ebooks, etc. You are welcome to download and save this PDF, share it to parents, share it to students. If you want to put it up in your Google Classroom, you're welcome to do that as well. But you can see some of the databases we are not covering today, which are very relevant to you in social studies, particularly like the historic American newspapers, History Reference Center. Some of these content specific databases are listed here for you to be able to utilize as well. So even though 45 minutes is a very short period to cover things, I want you to know that there are other options for you to be able to expand your Discus usage as well. Again, if you missed it, that actually came out from our Discus website training tab here, training and training resources. So you can actually peruse all the databases. If you're just getting started, the grade level is probably the first best place to go because they are actually listing out all the databases that you just saw on that PDF file. But by subject is also very useful for you. So if you want to just see the geography related databases, you can go by subject to geography to history here. You can also go down and look at our Spanish resources that you see at the bottom of that list, and then literature and language arts. So if you want them to just be broken out by your teaching content areas, that's a great place to start. So these are all of the access points to the databases that we'll cover today. Notice on each one of these tabs to your far right, we do have a link to tutor.com because in both your ELA side of the house and your social studies, when students are writing papers, they're going to have access to tutor.com where they can actually drop off a paper and have it read and reviewed by an expert tutor and get feedback there. So that's useful for both social studies history related papers and the English papers. So that's something else that we'll look at toward the end. So I'm going to go ahead and go by grade level to high school, and we're going to start with Learn 360 here. And I'm just checking up in chat to see if any of you have any questions. Oh, thank you for that for the comments there that you all have posted. So within this, notice whenever you go into this, this covers pre-K through 12th. So some of you may be teaching ninth grade social studies, but you have a kindergartner at home. So be aware that there are a lot of resources in Discus as well for the younger students that might be relevant to you and your own families. But notice here, this is Learn 360 District that you see in the logo piece. You are able to go to that smart menu, the 3 lines on the left, and you can limit to middle high if you want to start out doing that. Or you can actually search throughout the database and limit to your high school grade levels after you conduct your search. So for those of you who are looking for videos to either introduce a lesson or incorporate into your teaching, there's an entire video platform here. Games and activities. There are printables, and I'm going to just quickly click on printables because many people are not aware of these that include some great fact sheets. I'm going to show you these fact sheets first because those of you teaching social studies, history, geography, etc., you're going to find that there are a lot of PDF handouts that are already ready-made covering the Great Depression, World War II, United States history, contemporary United States there. Also on your far left, you're going to see some African American specialized resources for specifically related to America as well with history. Those of you that might be also providing government backgrounds, foundations, etc., these are all going to be PDF files. Notice the world history there on the right. These are all going to be PDF files that you can share out to the students. I'm just going to click on one to pull it up to show you. That are great handouts because even in our virtual world, sometimes just a student being able to print off something in print and having something handy there is still very relevant and useful for them. And sometimes just getting their eyes off of the virtual, as we all know, kind of helps give them a welcome break as well. I'm going to just pull up this Holocaust fact sheet, but you can see that these fact sheets are great to kind of sort of establish a timeline. These are great for you to use in class and also for your students. If you've perhaps uh, provided, maybe you're doing a group assignment and you want them to report out on different events and specifics there. All of these fact sheets are found in printables there. And you will see across the top, citation information is provided for everything in Learn 360. So if a student does want to refer to this sheet and they want to be able to cite the information where they got the information, that's always going to be available to them. You are also, if you notice to the far right of your screen, you can easily pull this up into your Google Classroom. You can make it an assignment or an announcement. You can also download this if you just want to download it directly to your device as a PDF. You can do that as well. That way, if you want to email it to a student or share it out. The other piece that I'll mention is there's a share to, and you're going to notice these are the same functionalities you'll get with your videos as well. So if you want to email a particular handout to a student, you can just email that directly from share to as well. These are, again, you can see our little breadcrumbs here. We started in printables, went to world history and pulled this particular file, but you could certainly, again, also look at religion, health, the other categories as well. So I'm just going to go back to the main Learn 360 landing page and show you also the maps and flags. These are obviously relevant to social studies, but these are also very relevant to ELA. So if you are introducing a particular, perhaps you're reading some of the Chinua Achebe stories, or you have some you're working with short stories from different parts of the world, you might also be interested in these as well. The beauty of these maps and flags is not only do you get detailed flags and maps from countries and the United States, but notice in these you also have featured historical maps and thematic maps. So if you are working with students and perhaps you're looking at the economy of a particular country, or you want to emphasize more specific areas within the themes that you're studying, there's just a great variety to be found here. These are the playlists that you can just view and browse, but as teachers, it's probably going to be to your benefit just to click on the various labels here at the top so you can get a quick bird's eye view of what's out there. So you're not just having to scroll through everything. You can see the ones related to US history are on the right in the historical maps, and those related to world history are on the right. So political revolutions here, revolution and the war, early civilizations there. You can also see some aspects of global expansion, global trade in Europe there for different time periods. Again, these are going to be, I'm just going to click here on causes of the World War II there so that you can see these go hand in hand with some of those other printable handouts that you may find. And I'll just click this. Again, I won't belabor the point here because you're going to have the same layout. Notice all of your functionalities at the top with citation and your Google Classroom link here on the right. So if this is something that you want students to review, you can easily pull that into your Google Classroom. The other beauty of the maps and flags section here are those thematic ones. Some of them are very specific, like locations of coal reserves. If you're trying to pull in different things related to the countries, like what countries have the most petroleum, those kinds of things. If you're looking at aspects of living conditions when you're exploring countries and geography, those are available as well. And then also the economy related maps. So there are also detailed maps, not only of where you're going to find the rivers and the capitals and those, but also those pieces as well. And then of course the United States maps and flags obviously are here too. So let's go ahead and bump back. This is going to be relevant to all of you no matter what you teach. The video collection here is amazing. You are going to be able to, and I'm going to just go back one more time just in case you were glancing away, just so everybody will make sure you see how to get to these. From the Learn 360 landing page, that video icon on the far left is going to take you out to where you can browse the subjects that are here. Again, they do have the vendor actually breaks out all of these related little playlists here that they feature. So you're welcome to look at those and kind of see what's new in your field and your content areas. But it's kind of, again, once again, easier for you as a teacher to actually browse the subjects because they're going to break those out just as you saw with the maps and the printables, in such a way that you can immediately see what's out there for composition, what's out there for reading and literature. You can easily see what's available for social studies as far as your videos go. If you're talking about different political systems or you're wanting to focus on geography, there, once again, yeah, US special topics. So that's the easiest way to get to these. Those of you who teach world languages, you will be thrilled to know that there is also a very robust section of French videos and Spanish videos here. And anytime you click on any of these headings, you're going to be able to see what is available for those sections. I'm going to click on Spanish here just for you to see. Everything that I show you in Spanish is going to be obviously relevant for your ELA and social studies as well. But notice you will have filters here. So at this point, you can actually filter out this grades 3 to 5 video just by going to the high school level. So of those 400 videos, 276 are relevant for grades 9 to 12 there. Some of the videos are going to actually be in Spanish, and some of them are going to be teaching about the Spanish language. And you can also do a more specific search if you want just those language learning videos there. Some of your videos are going to just be segments. Notice this one is a 3-minute video here. And some of them are going to be part of a greater series. So if I click on this video, as you see here, notice the segments tab that you see here. If this is part of a larger video, they would actually list out all of the other segments of that video. So if you're an ELA teacher and perhaps you have a video about short stories and you're specifically looking at short stories by a particular author, there may be segments that are also relevant for other pieces that you could pull in. Notice the second tab is the transcript. So if you as a teacher want to quickly glance to see if this video is going to cover what you need it to cover, you can view that. The student can also download that transcript. So if they are using any video to report back on, maybe about literature or social studies or historical event, they would also be able to refer back to the printed transcript. When you're in class, if you're teaching virtually or in the classroom, maybe using a smartboard, you also have the option to turn on the closed captions. That can be very useful in the virtual classroom, particularly because, and I know you're not going to be able to actually hear this as it comes up, but it will give them the closed captioning to also help reinforce learning for students to actually see the words as they're being read or said throughout the video. So that's kind of how all of your videos are going to work there. I'm going to pause just a moment here and ask if there are any questions from anyone there on that piece. Again, I'll also leave time at the end if you realize you do have a question there. So all we've done so far is actually navigated through that original video browse screen that we were looking at here. For those of you that are teaching within English language arts there, I'm going to just click on the literature section. There are over 1,000 videos there. And you notice they're covering short stories, books, novels, authors, etc. Of that 1,700, there are, let's see, how many high school related? 477 that relate to the high school level there. And once again, you are able to go into these videos. You're going to notice that again follows the same pattern here where you're able to pull this into the Google Classroom, etc. So this can be very useful for you in the hybrid teaching and learning there also. Again, so far all we've done is browse through the different browsable sections of the screen. But if you already know, maybe you don't want to actually go that route, you don't want to kind of spend your time fumbling through all these, you would rather just go directly in and search for what you're looking for. I'm going to just type in Chinua Achebe there and let you see how you can just go in and quickly find those relevant videos to a particular person. Those of you who are studying world geography, this one again is going to be a very broad search. So just know that if you do a very broad search such as this, it is searching by keyword and not subject. So you're going to get a lot of videos and sometimes they may not seem like they're really relevant there. So you might want to be even more specific in your searching to a particular area of the world there. Um, those of you who would be perhaps teaching more about world economy, et cetera, you can also, search by a country, add some of the other keywords that would be useful to you there as well. So, if we're looking at, notice they do give you options here. Europe's Alps there, Europe's exploration of the North Atlantic, lifelines, etc. So you can actually go in and do a direct search if you want to be more specific than just browsing there. So that is a quick overview of Learn 360. I'm just going to jump back out to our SC Discus page here. And we're going to look next at our TeenBookCloud, because this has great references for both your social studies and your ELA. And if you happen to teach French, there are also even some French books. Books in French here as well. Notice in the nonfiction, you have some of the ebooks: Autobiography of Ben Franklin, Modest Proposal, there, the U.S. Bill of Rights, Frederick Douglass. I believe there's I think there's at least one of the Federalist Papers that are located here. But you can see that you can browse once again here. You can browse by drama, poetry, etc. There are going to be videos that are relevant from National Geographic here, particularly for you with geography, but also uh, those that would want to look at some of the other videos as well. There is fiction, so this is great to keep your students reading over breaks. There's also the enhanced ebooks that are actually have professional narrators reading them. The student has the option to hear it read as they're looking at the words, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Some fun graphic novels there, but notice once again, it's typically the students that like to browse those playlists, and the teachers like to go directly into the different pieces at the top. Notice the AP English that you'll find here. They've broken them out by time periods of ancient works, classics, by the different 1800s, 1900s, etc. Everything up to Ken Casey and the Cuckoo's Nest there. So you can see that these are all accessible to your students. The beauty of these is more than one student can actually access this at a time. In fact, an entire class can access a book. So that's one of the great abilities here for you to be able to see. Also, if you prefer not to just browse that way, notice on the top right-hand corner, you have the ability to search directly. So if you are strictly wanting to find novels of George Orwell, for instance, you can search by author, title. You can also search by keyword. There's the option to do that. This would be the result list that you would get when you search. If you're specifically looking for Animal Farm, and let's say you want, you can see all the different versions, Animal Farm AP there. The audiobook, that one's not going to have words, it's just going to be read aloud. And then the enhanced ebook is what I'm going to click on here to show you how it opens. See the book. The students can obviously go forward and back using their arrows at the bottom. They can also enlarge the text, and you can as well. So if you wanted to pull something up in class and be able to kind of show them where they can read it, where it's very readable, there you can adjust that text. But notice on the far bottom left, you can also turn on that narration on the left. And you're not going to be able to hear that at the moment, but that will actually highlight the words as they're being read by the narrated professional there. And you can also toggle that on and off. So if a student just wants to read a particular section and have the narrator read it, they can do that as well. So one of the other benefits of Teen Book Cloud for teachers, there are lesson plans, there are readers guides with many of these associated with many of the Shakespeare plays and other pieces. But also the most important part for you as teachers is the index that you see in the blue narration, sorry, the blue navigation bar. This index, if you are actually wanting to link out to Animal Farm, maybe that particular edition, or you're wanting to link out to the Federalist paper or something that you want a student to read, you can actually go notice these in the index list everything in our collection, starting out in alphabetical order by title. You can sort by author. You can also sort this page by accelerated reading number or just the type. So if you're only wanting to see the videos, for instance, you can sort by the type of the resource as well. But I'm currently browsing through. I'm just going to I'm going to locate that Animal Farm that I just showed you. So if you want to link to this in an assignment in your Google Classroom, or you want to prepare an assignment and just embed it on a Word doc or a PDF, you can do that as well. The way that you embed is you go to the book ID or the video ID, which is beside the title. So I would just click on that ID and pull that persistent link. So that would be the permanent link to that book in the collection. And then you could go down and, pull up a Word file, create an assignment, tell them to read the first chapter of Animal Farm and tell you about the characters, or explain the characters, or whatever kind of piece that you want to incorporate. And then all you would need to do is type Animal Farm and link it with this URL that you find here. I'm going to pause a moment and ask if there are any questions. I know, as I said before, I have to go pretty quickly in such a short time period. Do we have any questions there? I'll just check in chat quickly there. Okay. You are always welcome to email me or ask your media specialist for additional information. So if you find that it's when you're actually doing some prep that you find that you would like to, you run into those questions, we'll be glad to follow up with you there too. But everything that I just showed you, as far as with the nonfiction and the pieces that are here as well, um, all of those are linkable. So if you find that you want your students to read the Federalist paper that you see here and you want to link that, again, you would just go up to the index, follow through alphabetically there to get down. I'm going to go pretty quickly here, but I'm going to go down to the F's and search for the Federalist papers there. And that's where I would be able to link that one. Okay, so this is something that we just added permanently in October. So this is a great new addition for your age levels there. So I'm going to go next into CultureGrams. This is an excellent resource for those of you particularly teaching geography, but also government, economies, where you're comparing other nations. So we're going to look at CultureGrams quickly here. This is a K through 12 resource, but notice how the kids edition is over here, which you probably wouldn't need there at your grade levels, but the world edition is the best place to start for high school level. You and the students can both explore continents and countries within those continents. Notice across the top, you can find slideshows, videos, interviews of people from the country, famous people, recipes, and there's a great feature here for graphs and tables. So I know with the new social studies standards, they are really emphasizing a lot more of students producing more projects in relation to geography. So if you're wanting them to actually compare different economies, etc., I'm going to show you how you can have them utilize the graphs and tables section. So if I go in to any of the continents here. I can just click on Africa. It's going to break out a map for me here. Notice you can view this as a PDF and actually utilize these maps also in teaching and learning. But if I go into Nigeria here, for instance, notice for every country, you're going to get the read aloud here at the top. So if students do better with their read aloud, hearing it, they can read, that's going to be available. But for every country, you're going to get a background, you're going to get historical information, information about the people, the languages they speak. You're going to have some fast facts here on the right, customs and courtesies, their lifestyle, housing, etc. The society itself. So what are their main, national products? What is their system of government there? So all of that information is going to be laid out on the left-hand side. You're also going to get a quick snapshot of demographics, as you'll see here in this infographic. So this is something you could use to introduce a lesson there by pulling that up. I'm going to show you also. Notice this is the map section that first comes up. You're going to have even more options for maps in addition to what you saw on Learn 360, because you're going to have the outline map, which can be very useful for map test, simple maps, physical maps, political maps of each of the countries. And these are all will all pull up in the PDF format for you there. So you can see this one's going to probably take a second to load there. But you will see that this political map is actually breaking out areas for them. So if you have assigned them different countries to explore, they're going to be able to see, what for the different religions, the different uh, government sections there as well. So that's something that's often overlooked because people will scroll right past this little select a map. But for you as teachers, that can be very useful. Um, Again, here's a very simple basic map if you need that. There is also the options for the physical map that you see here. So there, if you're looking more of the geography and the land itself. Notice on your far right, you have the Save to Google Drive section here. So the student can actually save this entire report on Nigeria to their view the full report and be able to save that entire information all in one piece laid out there. So they're going to be able to access that for each individual country. Notice there are also a great video galleries here. So if you're wanting your students to compare maybe music in America to music in Nigeria, or maybe, learn about the poverty in that country, surfing, all of these are going to be vary um, depending on the country, obviously, that you choose there. But if you are linked to your Google account, as you see, I'm linked into mine here, you can save most all of this information. And it looks like we are about running out of time because you all will be moving to your next session. But notice also, I'm going to go just back into Nigeria real quickly here to show you the graphs and tables part that I wanted to mention to you for social studies teachers. Um, you can click on graphs and tables, and you can have your students build their own graphs that they can pull straight into an Excel file. So if you want to actually assign them a comparison graph or a comparison table, you can do that by telling them to select countries to compare. So if we want to compare Nigeria to the United States on some key points here, they can just go in and click their Nigeria country first there. It's highlighted here, and then they can also go in and select the United States. They can select any of the other countries there. And just for the sake of time, I'm just going to pull a couple of other locations here to show you. They can compare the capitals, the land area, the population, economics. if they're looking at what the countries export, if they're looking at the literacy levels. They even have things to do with energy, electricity, etc., that can be compared. And you can have them actually pull that table and then report it out using, if they go to the download here on the left, they'll be able to pull that into an Excel file. So that's something that can be valuable and used there as well. So I'm going to go back out. I wanted to share with you I wanted to share in chat the link for you all to be able to, before you move to your next class, I want you to be able to uh, request your PD credit for this section. So I'm just going to quickly copy that and put that over in chat for you there. If you don't already have access to that, I'll put it up in chat for you now. See if I can get that to work there. Sorry, I'm having difficult with the chat here.